Alright everyone, welcome to week 3 of AHGL, the After Hours Gaming League. We have the picks and bans going out. We're on the ban phase right now still, but this is going to be IGT versus EA. IGT is on the blue side, I believe. I forgot, sorry.
That is correct. They are Team 1 and EA is Team 2, and we do already have a couple bans and picks coming out. Well, actually just bans so far.
Yep, so let me see if I can get this right. We have the Ashe ban going out from EA, and then an Ashe, Vi, and Caitlyn ban going out from EA, and then Mumu, Cat, and no, it's Mumu, Cat, and Caitlyn, and then Ashe, Vi, Lee Sin.
Yeah, and I like these bans. The first ban of Ashe is targeted against the Chup, who appears to be the AD player for IGT and has a good record with that. It kind of steals a little bit of fun and excitement from casters because we love watching those enchanted crystal arrows fly across the map and hopefully land on their intended target. Just makes things happen all the time, and it's great to have an initiator like her on your team, but we will not be seeing that. The other bans, pretty standard. A Mumu, Cat, Caitlyn. Really make sure you break up that Caitlyn-Nunu combination, and a Mumu and Cat also have some really ridiculous AoE potential. The other bans are Vi, and Lee Sin, which aren't incredibly usual bans, but certainly Lee Sin has, seen his day in the spotlight where he would be banned every game. Vi, I'm not sure if that is targeted. It seems like it might be.
Yep, the first pick going out is Sona. Sona is a pretty good support right now, but I mean, she's not really at the. She used to be a auto ban or auto pick, but she's pretty squishy. We'll see how. I'm getting these teams confused again. IGT is going to respond to that support pick.
Yeah, it's kind of an unusual first pick. Certainly, kind of along the veins of former Moscow 5, now Gambit Gaming. Who really valued Sona highly, but she has been nerfed, as you mentioned, really squishy, can be countered really well with support champions such as Tarek, Blitzcrank, Leona, and even Alistar, all people who can get up on her and take advantage of her early game squishiness. We do have the next two picks coming out from IGT, and they're going to be Nidalee and Cho'Gath.
Yep, so Nidalee could go top lane, could go mid lane, or it could be support, for all we know. And and Cho'Gath, I've seen Cho'Gath more in the jungle nowadays, actually.
Yeah, but he is still a really good top laner and an excellent middle laner. He really just has so much sustain in middle lane that he can't be pushed out by most other AP carries, and he has the advantage of not having to go top and being subject to really long, drawn-out ganks where he can just head back to mid-turret and, be safe there. Of course, he also gets that extra health as he feasts minions, and that is great, especially to counter AP mids who really can do a lot of burst, but their burst is limited in amount, and after that they don't have great consistent damage. So as long as you live through that, you tend to do well in those fights. So, I think he is more popular in the jungle and top lane, but middle Cho'Gath is something to be reckoned with.
Yep, the next two picks coming out for EA are Jarvan and Misfortune, and Jarvan could go top middle. I like Jarvan middle a lot nowadays, and that Misfortune Sona lane is going to be a very pokey lane. It's going to try to be quite aggressive in trying to get a lot of damage on that. On their opponents in the bot lane, and that is going to be Ezreal in the bot lane that they're going to be facing, though they don't have support yet.
Right, and a Swain as well. Swain's always an exciting champion to see, and I feel like he's one of the most snowbally of the AP middle champions just because his ultimate kind of requires to be him in the fight. So he has to build tanky enough to really last throughout those fights, but if he does get into those battles and has enough tankiness and enough damage, suddenly he can just, be the main factor of a fight. You can't kill him because he's sustaining too much, and he's taking down all of your squishy champions at the same time.
The next two picks going out for EA are Darius and Akali, and I thought they were going to try to go for something of an AoE team comp, because with Sona, with Jarvan, with Misfortune, but I mean, this isn't quite the AoE team anymore, because Darius and Akali really don't have that kind of AoE ult to use in team fights.
Right, I mean, they had the setup there for them with Sona, Jarvan, and Misfortune all working really well together with their ultimates. Of course, a Mumu was banned out, who would be, the logical pick for that. But they could have certainly picked a mid or top that helped, gel the team just a little bit more. But what they're going for now is kind of a reset team. And, combining Darius with any sort of assassin like Akali is really going to help out his potential. And they're possibly going to wreak havoc on those back lines.
Yep, so I think we're ready to get going. The last pick is Jace, And so let me actually scroll a little bit. Well, we're actually going to see the picks right now coming out. So we're going to see the champions, probably random champions being just banned out, and then they're going to pick their champions. As usual, we're going to have this is set up so that the first pick does not get the choice of the side. So the blue team is second pick, so which is why we did the picks and bans in chat.
Right, and we actually fortunate enough that they're going to ban their actual champions that they banned in the same order they did it. The picks are not going to come out in the same order, but you know, we can go through them pretty easily, and it looks like everyone will be playing the champions that they're going to pick. No need for swapping, of course. So it looks like a Cho'Gath will be in that jungle, as you suggested is the most popular place for him.
Yep, and it looks like I forgot the champions for EA, but Darius looks like is not going to go in the jungle, although he could. He was a possibility for the jungle.
I think Jarvan will be.
Yeah, I think it would be Jarvan as well. So this is Nidalee taking a while to lock in.
Everyone has to get all sorted out. Of course, they can, you know, lock down really quick. But it looks like it will be a super AP Nidalee running 15 ability power, 7.8 magic pen, and ability power per level over both seals and glyphs. So that's an incredibly offensive Nidalee, probably going to run middle with that sort of setup.
These AP runes and magic penetration. And right now it's showing an exhaust, so might be taking that exhaust to...
Oh,
wait, no.
I stand corrected.
Yeah, that is probably support Nidalee, actually.
Supportily. I'm really excited to see this. So a little bit surprised by the runes. Of course, they do have an opportunity to change those up, but it doesn't look like B-Boy's Suicide actually has you know, another setup for a more mainly support-oriented role. So he's going to go with that full AP, and we're going to see if Nidalee can transition out of that support bottom lane into a late-game factor with like all those extra AP quints and runes.
Yep, so likely it's going to be Swain in mid and Jace at top to round out that team. On the other hand, we might see, I mean, we have seen Akali top a lot of times. That was where she started out, but I'd say it's more likely that Akali goes mid here and Darius goes top.
Yeah, it's kind of an interesting situation because Swain will probably do pretty good work against Akali, and Darius might have a better shot against him, because of course Swain loves sustaining throughout the heat of a battle, but if Darius can get an ignite down and then use his ultimate, that Noxian Guillotine, Swain's not going to be long for this world, so it could be a swap up there. We have been seeing more and more people swap to Bruisers in that mid lane, but we don't know that'll be the case right now.
So we have a little while before we get back in game. Guess we can check some more of these runes for you guys, which Sotere will do, and let me know if there's anything interesting. But do you see any interesting lane matchups besides the possible Darius-Swain matchup?
I mean, I'm most interested in, of course, of that Nidalee support and seeing exactly how they're, you know, going to use that and how they intend to really take advantage of her. And they do have kind of an interesting setup also in the sense that they have that Nidalee support who has very heavy AP runes, and they have Jace, so they have the potential for poking. Ezreal is also a good poker. Cho'Gath and Swain don't really fit into that composition quite as well, but they do have that potential, especially if they get ahead, that they can lay siege to turrets really well.
And here, interestingly enough, Miss Fortune is taking Cleanse. The IGT doesn't really have that many cleansable skills. I think really the only things are on Swain.
Yeah, well, the exhaust is kind of the main thing that you want to, you know, cleanse out of. It's really important to be able to, you know, clear that away immediately, and then suddenly, you know, the bottom lane has no CC to stop Miss Fortune, and Miss Fortune is, you know, pretty much the strongest of the AD carries if you're just going to let her, you know, auto-attack you over and over. She has a really good steroid early game. She has a strut, especially if you don't attack her back. She's just going to catch up to you and keep on pelting you with those bullets. And she's, you know, increasingly popular, especially over in Korea, thanks to bullet time and her composition, or her combination with AoE compositions, and really just dominates lane. And I don't know necessarily that this Nidalee and Ezreal combination are going to be able to counter very well. They do have good poke, but Sona and Miss Fortune also provide a ton of poke themselves.
Yeah, so I mean, I expect this bottom lane to be a very aggressive bottom lane, because both of them want to do a lot of poke damage and try to really just force the other one out of the lane that way.
Right, and we also have a good matchup because I do believe, Bigglebuns, the the Misfortune player, and the Choop on the other side on Ezreal are both highly rated, high elo players, so they should be able to give themselves a good battle going into this. I expect a lot of fireworks down bottom, and I'm really excited to see perhaps a crescendo bullet time combination pulled off as it gets into those later stages. Not that I'm particularly favoring one side over the other, but I do love seeing those wombo combos land successfully.
Yeah, that should be a lot of fun, and in team fights it could be a lot of fun to see if Jarvan can catch a bunch of them for that bullet time in his Cataclysm.
Mm-hmm. Swain, and I guess this is just kind of a strategy all throughout the team coming down here for the blue side, as Swain is running all ability power per level as well, but to an even greater extent than Nidalee, in the sense that he's running ability power per level marks in addition to seals and glyphs. So that's certainly unusual, not a regular standard rune page build, but I'm interested to see how it'll turn out. It's kind of just a full aggro page.
Yeah, and that is 77 extra ability power at level 18, so that is going to be a significant amount of AP that he's adding with his page, but he is giving up other stats to have that rune page, and he also has his masteries, and I'm betting that he's going to go with a lot of offensive masteries with Swain too.
Well, interestingly enough, Swain for IGT is running 9021, so utility mastery page. That's not too unusual for AP mids to be running nowadays, but it's not as aggressive as 2109 would be, or 219, for instance. So he is kind of mixing up his utility and his damage, and I'm really interested to see how he builds throughout the course of the game, because, for instance, if he builds an early Negatron Cloak or an Abyssal Scepter, suddenly he's kind of counteracting the power that he's gaining through those runes, and perhaps could have spent them better on, defensive masteries or defensive runes. But, that's only if he builds that way. Then we're kind of going to have to judge as spectators whether or not it was worth it to invest in less efficient runes to get, the same end result.
Alright, my game is bugging out. It's doing that thing where it's on the bottom right-hand corner, so I am going to get back in game a little bit later, so we're not seeing anything right now, but that is fine.
Well, I'll talk people through it because it's actually really exciting. Oh, and we're actually in game now, so that was a really quick load screen. Apparently everyone has quick computers, and we have 10 skins. Not very frequent you see 10 skins in a match, even amongst pros. Someone will, just decide to go with the standard, but I'm pretty sure, the load screen was quick, but everyone is all suited up, ready for battle, skinned up, and ready to go. And we do have the teams rushing out. Very, very interesting to see what they're going to do level 1.
Welcome to Summoner's
One
Rift.
second, actually, while
I'll just talk through it. IGT is kind of doing the pineapple or European defense, just kind of spreading out, making sure no one gets into their jungle, and they're very vigilant at it. They have all the entrances covered, but EA looks like they might do a late invade towards the blue side. And we also might perhaps see a lane swap here. It's a little bit too early to tell. We do have 5 people up top, but oftentimes when you do a late invade like this, you don't want to set 2 people behind, so you'll have your AD and support go towards that top lane. But they are all in that top brush. Jace is in a great position to spot them, but he's going to have to be vigilant and make sure he's not caught out by any CC.
Yep, looks like are they going to recall? Looks like Bigglebuns is recalling, so that bot lane going back to base. And then we might see a delayed invade of blue. Actually, I think Sona is still there, so just Misfortune going back to bot lane, and then there's going to be this delayed invade.
Right, and Jace just let off his post. He was standing at that entrance, and now he's given up the spot. So the late invade from EA looks to be a successful one so far. Will they have enough CC to lock down Jace?
Yep. Now Jace's going to come in, walk into this bush, and get hit by a lot of skills. He's going to have to flash out, but is going to be able to get away because that was a great flash over the wall, preventing them from basically catching him.
I mean, they could have followed there. The apprehend from Darius did unfortunately miss, but they are going to be able to secure this blue buff. So Cho'Gath's going to go straight to his red. He is a champion that doesn't necessarily need blue, but it's certainly beneficial to him. And we might see him try to counter the enemy's blue buff, go to EA side. But EA already does have that warded up in anticipation of his invade.
Yep, so Looks like they're just going to go back to their lanes, and I don't think there's really any unusual lane swaps going on now, because we see Akali Swain mid and Darius Jace top.
Right. I like the Swain versus Akali matchup. Akali has a good time against a lot of APs because she can burst them down and sustain a little bit on her own. You know, levels 1 through 6 can be a little frightening for her. But in general, she can, you know, sustain and farm up. It does look like Cho'Gath is in a little bit of trouble here for IGT. We'll see if he's able to get away. Oh!
He flashes over, but Akali is there, and she's going to try to get some damage on, but looks like he might be able to just walk out of there. Swain is going to come over to help, and Akali can't follow. So, yeah, that flash, he knew that they were converging on him, just flashed out, and was able to escape.
Yeah, was able to escape, but he did not get the blue buff. Jarvan was able to steal that away, so Cho'Gath lost his flash and doesn't have blue buff to boot. So he's not a happy camper in his jungle. His own blue buff was stolen. He did not secure the blue buff of the enemy team, just got outsmited in that case. And mainly outsmited because he didn't have smite up.
Yeah, and that was actually a great move by EA, because they were able to, basically when they took the enemy blue and then warded their own blue to make sure that it wasn't stolen.
Yeah, and that's certainly, you know, a great strategy anytime you're playing. If you're invading, make sure you don't give them back the buff that you just stole, because obviously Cho'Gath would have been caught up and more had he been able to secure that, but he wasn't, and it was a successful invade all around. Bottom lane, we're seeing a ton of poke. Nidalee Spear is doing quite a bit of chunk damage, but I think they'll be okay. In top lane, Cho'Gath looking for the gank on Darius.
Yep, Darius is pretty far out, and now Cho'Gath is going in, is going to try to, he gets that silence off, and then tries to get the knockup, which he does get, and they're going to get a good amount of damage on Darius. He's trying to walk out, but he is probably going to fall here. That ignite goes out, and he does finally fall.
Yeah, that was kind of an unfortunate set of circumstances for Darius. He had pushed all the way up, and he pushed to a point where he felt like getting away was a fruitless you know, attempt, so he didn't even burn his flash. Had he flashed that early rupture, then he suddenly wouldn't have been slowed, and he could have just walked away from that. But at the point he got ruptured, perhaps it was too late.
And now actually down at bottom lane, we saw that Nidalee was very low, got pushed out of lane, and now Ezreal is having a tough time dealing with both the poke, of both Miss Fortune and Sona alone.
Right, and we see 33 CS for Miss Fortune to 21 for Ezreal, and Miss Fortune still has a potion under her belt. That might not seem like a big deal, oh, just one potion, but it is pretty big, especially when you have Sona, who's pretty good at supporting through healing the lane mate as well. And wow, those double ups are really chunking down Ezreal hard.
Yep, now they're just going to push down, and it seems like they're keeping this well pushed, but they do have a ward in the tri-bush, so they have a little bit of vision, but they don't have one at Dragon, so maybe they might be a little bit exposed to Cho'Gath.
Yeah, I think, you know, they're not too worried about it, but, you know, he could come down and really swab up this lane, and we do see him heading towards the river. Looks like he'll be going after middle, but he could transition back down to bottom as well and be pretty frightening down there. There is a ward up there in the river by Dragon, so they will have advance notice one way or the other.
Yep, so Cho'Gath is still waiting over at mid lane. Wants to try to get a gank attempt on this Akali, but Akali is being really careful right here. Knows that Cho'Gath might want to gank her, and is probably not going to give him a chance to do anything here.
And that's really great play by Gasti on Akali, because Akali actually has been being aggressive throughout the course of this laning phase, and actually has built himself up a 7
over
CS
at
lead.
top, we see Darius landing that apron, and then Jarvan coming in from the bush, going to get a lot of damage on this Jace. Jace is going to have to try to get away, but is not able to, and that evens up the kill score at 1-1, with both top laners being the victims of ganks.
Right, and Darius actually, even though he was, you know, subject to that early gank, he has 39 CS, so he is doing a really great job of farming, you know, over 20 ahead of his lane opponent, Jace. And of course, Jace didn't have that flash because of that level 1 invade, so it may not have pulled, you know, got them a kill early on in the game, but essentially that invade secured the kill there. Otherwise, he probably would have been able to flash over a wall or just flash backwards towards his turret to escape the gank.
Yep, so down at bottom lane, still the old poke battle going down. Seems like Ezreal is going to go back, as is Nidalee, so no kills going down yet, but a lot of damage going down on either side.
Yeah, in middle, Akali essentially forcing Swain out of the lane just by virtue of putting a little bit of damage on him and forcing him to use his ultimate to fight back. Ran him completely out of mana. So certainly he's having issues there, and I don't know
and
whether
actually,
he will
Akali
be
going in with their ultimate is going to get some damage. He's going to have to get back. Cho'Gath is working on this blue and probably going to give it to Swain, which is going to help him a lot. Jarvan's waiting here, but there is a ward, and Swain is just going to go back. Actually, not even he might. I thought he would have gone to blue, but Cho'Gath is going to be working on this blue. The ward goes down from Jarvan, and Cho'Gath seeing that is going to just smite the golem and then walk away.
Yep. And good strategy there, but that means Swain is without blue buff, and Swain is going to have a really hard time dealing with Akali as this lane goes on if he doesn't have that blue buff. Because, of course, he has the extra sustain, but he doesn't really have much to give him any staying power as far as mana goes. He picks up a Kage's Lucky Pick, which, you know, is another thing that kind of suggests to me that he's looking forward to this matchup against Akali, but it's probably not going to end well for him. He's all ruined out with AP. He's building a, you know, non-cost efficient item in that Kage's Lucky Pick in the sense that it doesn't really give you the stats that you pay for straight off because it's a GP10 item. So I will be really surprised if Akali is not able to take advantage of this.
Yep, Darius actually doing a good amount of damage on Jace, is getting the better of these trades, dodges that EQ combination from Jace, but he's doing a pretty good job at top lane after that gank, and might be looking for a chance to get apprehend on it, which he does, and he does a lot of damage to him, is going to try to get enough damage so that he can get that ult off, which he does, and does get that kill. So just waiting for the right opportunity after getting some harassing, and gets a good kill up at top lane.
Yeah, Jace, you know, knocked him back, was trying to be cheeky, knock him back into the turret, but it just wasn't quite in range of the turret, and it wasn't enough to change the tides of the battle. So Darius picking up another kill for himself. Down bottom, there was a lot of damage put on that turret of EA, but, you know, that was just a function of Misfortune not having gone back for quite a while, but she comes back into lane with a BF sword and a Vampiric Scepter, so she's going to be incredibly scary.
Yeah, and she doesn't have boots yet, but because of the Season 3 changes and because of her passive, she might not need those boots as much, but as I say that, she does to eat a spear to the face and takes a good amount of damage.
Yeah, she has quite a bit of sustain in her kit, thanks to the Vampiric Scepter and Sona just, you know, running those Aria Perseverance over and over, so she'll get healed back up. And unfortunately, like, those well-placed spears and well-timed Mystic shots aren't really going to pay off in the long run.
Yep, and actually Sona going a little bit too far out and taking a good amount of damage, but looks like they're doing a pretty good job of zoning out Ezreal right now. Ezreal being forced to... Oh, actually Sona taking a lot of damage because... Oh, the Ezreal ult misses though, and she is able to get back. I don't know if that Ezreal ult would have killed her in the first place, but good job by Akali over at mid. I'm gonna rewind that a little bit. See, she gets a good amount of harass, but Swain is still decently high, and then she just goes in and gets a lot of damage on Swain very quickly to take him down.
Yeah, I mean, that's a function of him not running any defensive items and not running defensive masteries or runes. Akali is an assassin and really loves situations like that, and took advantage of it.
Yep, Jarvan's up at top trying to maybe get a gank on the Jarvan, but I think they know about it because Cho'Gath is waiting for a counter gank. There is a ward there, so I think they did see Jarvan walk into that bush.
The interesting thing is Cho'Gath is there for a counter gank, but unless they dive very heavily through the turret, it's not going to end in their favor, in Cho'Gath's favor that is, just because the burst damage from Darius and Jarvan
takes out that ward and maybe wants to go for this Cho'Gath, but he's going to pop his head in and then walk back out.
Yeah. So EA looking mighty fine here, about 1,500 gold up, and all their lanes seem to be either doing well or winning. CS-wise, every single lane is ahead, 66 to 36 in middle. That's the biggest disparity right now.
Yep, so about a 1.5k gold lead in favor of EA. EA again, is on the red side here. I actually don't have the overlay right now because I had some difficulties with that, so sorry about that. But EA is on the red side and IGT is on the blue side.
Yep. Oh man, so much poke coming from that Nidalee, but it's always healed up, and Sona still has full mana. Misfortune actually running low on mana, but it's not going to be too detrimental. She can farm plenty fine without it, maybe just has a little bit less kill potential. We do see Cho'Gath setting up for this gank, but they saw him thanks to that ward placed at the Wraiths, and they're able to back off. You know, just a little bit concerned that he might still be around, but they are going to be safe as he heads towards his golems. So really just good passive play from EA, taking advantage when they can. Oh wow, and Darius doing a lot of work top lane.
Yeah, and they're actually fighting right there, trying to knock him back into the tower again, but that ult comes out. Is he going to bleed to death? And he does bleed to death, and that is another kill for Darius, and he is going to have a very good time up at top lane.
Yeah, I mean, Darius wins those 1v1 matchups almost all the time. The advantage of Jace is you can get that poke, but if you get apprehended by Darius, and there are, frequently hard to avoid, then you kind of lose those trades, as he has these last couple of times.
Yep. Jarvan trying to go for this counter jungler once again. He knows that this blue is being done. He has a ward there. Akali's going in, and she's going to try to go, and they're going to try to burst her down. That knockup doesn't go off as Cho'Gath does manage to flash away, but he did actually manage to smite that golem away just in time. So unfortunately, Swain does not get that blue buff once again, but at least he was able to save it for himself.
Yeah, I think he actually used a combination of Smite and Feast there, just really ensuring that he was going to secure that buff for himself and not let Jarvan get it away. But that added pressure, is once again scary for Cho'Gath, has to back away, and is down Summoner spells and his Feast. Meanwhile, one good thing going for IGT is that turret taken down bottom, so now we're one up 1-0 in turrets, and only 1,000 gold down, so it is 1-4, and I don't know necessarily where all this gold is coming from. Cho'Gath certainly has pretty good farm in the jungle, 78-51, but otherwise, everything seems to be going in favor of EA, except the gold lead doesn't seem to really account for all of that. Do you know where the disparity might be?
I'm not sure either. Yeah, it's, it is, 3 kills difference. It's only 1,000 gold difference. Yeah, I'm not sure.
Right. I guess it would be a 2,000 gold difference if not for that turret. So that turret would be about 1,000 gold. So I think that's about it. I just thought the extra CS from the side of EA would have them pulling further ahead. We do see both supports equal in the CS battle with 2 apiece.
Oh, that's why it's so close. The support battle is so close.
Indeed, indeed.
It looks like there's going to be the first dragon being fought for right here, that ward being taken out, and dragon is pulled, although that was mostly because the Cho'Gath pulled it for them, and they're going to do it pretty quickly, but Cho'Gath is going to come down, and red team does take that dragon, and now a fight does break out. Cho'Gath is dropped very low and does fall. Bull time goes up, but it doesn't really hit anybody, and the Darius ultimate gets that double kill, so looks like a dragon and 2 kills so far. Ezreal trying to get away, but Akali is on the chase. He's going to get a ton of damage on that Ezreal and does die. So 3 kills and dragon for red team, a great swing, and that's going to put them about 3k gold ahead.
Yeah, that was a really great move by them. They were the aggressors going towards that dragon. Jace was late to the party, and that's one reason why the team fight went so poorly for them. Of course, they were behind in all aspects as well, but they could have challenged that. Cho'Gath did a good amount of upfront damage thanks to having his Feast available to be used on an opposing champion, but really Darius being there spelled the difference, and Jace showed up and was just a little bit too late.
Yep. So looks like EA is looking very good right now. Akali gonna try to push down this tower a little bit, but only gets it about halfway before having to back off. A swing gets back in lane, but looks like Nilly's gonna have some trouble trying to keep this. But yeah, I think Misfortune is content with leaving that tower up for now, letting Ezreal lose a lot of his CS.
Meanwhile, top lane turret about to go down by virtue just of the creeps, but Jace does a good job of clearing it out fast, so it will remain up there, but it's kind of on its last breath there. Only has 226 hit points left, so Darius could just walk up to it, hit it once, crippling strike it, auto attack, reset, and make short work of it. But like we mentioned in bottom lane, EA is happy to have those turrets stay up because they're actually enjoying the laning phase of this game. They've been thoroughly dominating it so far.
Yep, and Misfortune does have a Bloodthirster and a Brutalizer, so it's going to be doing so much damage with those 2 big items now.
Right, just rushing towards that Black Cleaver. It's a great item on her. It helps proc, the bullet times, procs the Black Cleavers pretty fast, once per wave.
Yep, over at mid at the a great ultimate from Jarvan is able to catch a couple people, and now looks like Akali's going to try to go after Swain. He's going to do a lot of damage and does take him out. And that was a great combination of Jarvan's ult and the bullet time to do so much damage. It looks like IGT was trying to push down towers to account for their difference in gold, and that is a good strategy, but they were just taken out so quickly that now it's going to turn around. They gave up 3 kills and now are going to lose a tower or even maybe 2.
2 turrets, yeah. It looks like this one will be taken down as well. I don't think there's anything that can be done about it. And really, as you mentioned, just a great combination of Jarvan Cataclysm and that bullet time, and it was underneath the turret to boot. So a ton of damage went down on IGT, and EA is taking a commanding lead, 10-1, 6,000 gold up. And at this point in the game, 17 minutes in, before 20 minutes in, that 6,000, I guess actually over 7,000 gold lead is huge.
Yep, and now Darius has a Warmog's armor, and I believe Warmog's armor right now is the most OP item in the game. So he's going to be scary. He's going to be hard to kill, and he's going to be doing a lot of damage.
I think Warmogs is getting a little bit too much attention. It's great in lanes because you love that regeneration, and it gives good base stats, but it's actually not so incredibly cost efficient that it's overpowered in my mind. It's just about as cost efficient as it was last season. The one big change is that, of course, armor has been kind of nerfed, but over the past couple of patches, Last Whisper is more expensive, Black Cleaver has been nerfed a couple of times, so the armor and magic resistance are coming back into vogue. Building straight health does seem to be the choice, but I think actually it was always the better choice in Season 2 as well. People just didn't catch on.
Yep, Darius is going to chase after this Cho'Gath right now. Cho'Gath does flash over. Had a little pause before the flash, but he does manage to get away. Jarvan does take that blue buff, and now they're going to go on. Oh, using that Cataclysm over the wall to trap Jace, but he is actually going to... Oh, no, he does fall to that Darius ultimate.
He is going to not get away.
Yeah, I was going to say, he's doing a good job of trying to, walk away, but...
Oh, Akali is going to 1v2 bottom lane. I don't think there's anything they can do to stop it.
Yeah, the exhaust goes down, but looks like they're going to take a lot of damage, and now Akali goes back in that shroud, and then is going to do so much damage to the Nidalee, taking her down, and that Akali is 5-0-4 now, is so strong.
Yeah, you do not want to see a mid lane Akali who has decent farm, actually is 50 farm up on Swain, who has a Hextech Gunblade before 20 minutes. The result is she can 1v2, as we just saw. I think she actually took like 1 or 2 turret shots in the course of that battle as well. No big deal. Still comes out ahead, and now is going to be able to sustain up. Won't even have to head back after that fight, because she's getting back 80 hit points, per spell that she's casting, thanks to that spell vamp and the extra lifesteal. She's all healthy again. She's ready to go back and 1v2 another set of people. Oh,
actually, Darius flashing away from that snare from Swain. I don't know if he had to do it. He's so healthy. Oh, nope. Sorry, let me go back to watch that really quick. But we have a Cho'Gath. There's that ward right there. Cho'Gath walked over and died pretty quickly to Akali's to give her yet another kill.
Yeah, Akali, Beast Mode, and actually we have the Surrender coming out, and there's really, at this point, nothing they could do. Misfortune, incredibly fed, has really good CS, 178, 2-0, Darius 6-1, and Akali 6-0 and 4. Really, really great showing by EA. And now everyone, I suppose, gets to go back and watch some football early today, as that concludes our matchup for the AHGL. Or week 3 of this season. I do believe there will be other matches going on over the course of today, but that is it for us.
Yep, so a very quick match, basically a 20-minute match, and that was a very good showing by EA to take down IGT in a very dominant fashion.
Indeed, indeed. So thank you so much for tuning in. We will be back next week with AHGL Week 4, rather, not Season 4. We don't know our teams yet, but we'll be excited whoever it is. We've seen really great showings from EA and Google so far this week, or this season. And last week, who was it that really dominated? I think Microsoft had a really great showing. So we'll see as the season progresses who is going to reign champion.
Yep, so thanks for watching, everyone, and have a good day.